One thing I want you to know about me is that I want you to now take the information and execute, because without execution, you have nothing. I can give you the most wonderful strategy in the world, but you need to master execution. Learn to minimize the gap between your thoughts and your actions. The longer you resist the changes and keep hiding and keep doing the shit that's not working, you are going to stay stuck, my friend. So let's get you unstuck, but that means you need to be curious, you need to be open, and you need to be willing to make changes inside of your business to get an outcome that you don't currently have. Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Rebecca Adiehill Show. I am so happy to be back here for another episode. I am telling you, it feels so good to be back here behind the mic, recording podcast again. That year, it was so good for me to take that year off, but now I'm just back and I'm ready just to give you as many juicy episodes as possible, provide so much value for you so that you can thrive in your business. And as always, it's going to be a short, sharp, and to the point episode, and I'm going to try and deliver as much value as possible within a short amount of time. What is really key? You can sit back here and listen to my podcast and just gather information. One thing I want you to know about me is that I want you to now take the information and execute, because without execution, you have nothing. Please don't be one of them people that has all of the books, all of the programs, all of the courses, all of the personal developments, all of the journals, all of the things, all of the but you don't implement. I can give you the most wonderful strategy in the world, but you need to master execution. Execution. Learn to minimize the gap between your thoughts and your actions. That is what's going to drive results. Not every day is going to be easy. Not every day is going to feel like you want to create content. Not every day you want to show up to your business. But that is when discipline kicks in and you do it anyway. Relentless execution. That is just what I want to start today's episode with. But that is not the conversation we are going to have today. I want that to set the foundation for the conversation I'm about to have with you. And today we are going to speak about social media content. Now, what I'm hearing a lot of online is that social media is not what it used to be. We are not getting the same engagement, the same reach, the same leads, the same kind of sales or demand or momentum like we used to in the past. And I want to explain to you why that is. If you are in a position right now where you feel like social media is a bit of a drag, you feel like you are posting and no one's watching, and you are just feeling invisible, I think I know why that is. And I kind of want to debunk and give you a bit of an insight of what's not working anymore. And the quicker you lean into the changes of the landscape of social media, the quicker you will win. The longer you resist the changes and keep hiding and keep doing the shit that's not working, you are going to stay stuck, my friend. So let's get you unstuck, but that means you need to be curious, you need to be open, and you need to be willing to make changes inside of your business to get an outcome that you don't currently have. Back in the day, and when I say back in the day, I'm kind of referring from 2021 up until about 6 months ago. We could get away with tips and tricks, educational content, my 3 steps to X outcome, or even a 6 to 8 second B-roll with a hook as text overlay with a caption and call to action. That is no longer working. What we used to post and what you used to post is no longer working. So your content calendar that you had back in 2024, 2025, throw it in the bin because it's actually irrelevant. It's completely irrelevant. So what used to work is no longer working. And I can prove that perspective because before sitting down to record this episode and earlier this week, I decided to actually test my perspective to then be able to back what I'm sharing with you today. So strategically yesterday, I put up a very standard educational carousel. a little bit about my observation, what I'm seeing, what you can't be doing, and what you should be doing is instead. There was no real edge. It was like a little bit of value. It was somewhat helpful, a bit of information, but no depth, no emotion, no expression, no edge, like no bigness of my personality, like none of that. Just like tick, tick, tick. Here is an educational post. Let me turn that into a carousel. You want to know the result? It was completely shit. There is like the only way I can say, like below average, like so poor. The engagement was horrible. Sure, did I have a few saves and a few likes and a couple of comments? I did. But in comparison to the content that I have been doubling down on over the past, say, 6 months, it has no chance in comparison with the other styles of content that I have been focusing on instead. So that really validated my point that a normal, average, boring, safe, somewhat helpful, a little bit of education, a little bit helpful, it's not going to cut it anymore. People will just read that and go, yeah, okay. Keep scrolling. It's not interested. Why? Because people don't come online to be educated. And that is really validating my post. So strategically on either side of that batshit boring post, I created 2 different posts, but they were very similar in style. Speaking directly to camera, no script, unfiltered, heartfelt, a lot of emotion, a lot of personality, a lot of drive, big expression, looking directly at the camera, just riffing on things that I am passionate about. The engagement on both of them posts, speaking about completely different things, they had 10x the result of that value/educational type of post. 10x the engagement, 10x the likes, 10x the followers. And most importantly, both of them generated leads for my business. The educational piece in the middle didn't. That just proved and validated this entire episode, that what we used to post and what we used to get away with is no longer working. I wrote down a bit of a list which is going to be your no-go zone for 2026 and beyond. First and foremost is hiding behind pretty slides, AI images, videos, stock images, faceless shit. I'm sorry, but like if you don't want to show your face, if you just want to have this fake profile that builds no connection, it's out. Forget about it. The second one is just cute little slides that just shares a bit of information, ticking the boxes that you have created one piece of content for the day, but it creates no emotional response. It's just like ticking the boxes. It's not going to work. And frameworks. People have AI. They don't care about our frameworks anymore. They don't care about information. This is why what you are going to see in the coming episodes is that I am going to pour so much value into this because no one is going to pay you for information. So give the information away and show your thought leadership by sharing all of the things that you know. And I promise you that you are going to be more booked out and more in demand and making more sales because you are actually showing the depth of what you can deliver. So don't hold back on information and value. All of the 3 things you have to do to get to this outcome. This is what I stopped doing to get to blah. No, it's just boring. You know when you see them post, you're like, I don't want to consume them because it's boring. And perfect ChatGPT wording. Now here is the truth. This is what I didn't do. This is what I didn't do. I didn't stop posting. I didn't but this is what I did. No. You know, you can tell that it's written by ChatGPT from a mile away, even though they take that longer dash away. You can just tell. I'm not saying don't use ChatGPT because I love AI, I love the ability, I love the speed of it. But bring the true essence of who you are. In a world where everybody is sounding and looking the same, what is the most important thing that you can actually deliver if you want to stand out? You. Yeah. Bringing more of you. Let the world see you. Let the world see your magic, your expression, your charisma, your sense of humor. Social media has become such a boring place, in my opinion, because everybody is trying to sound so perfect and say all of the right things. But everybody has stopped being creative. And that is what's stopping your engagement. That is what's decreasing your engagement. It's not social media. Because if I can be honest, my engagement is higher than it's ever been. And that is no coincidence. And lastly, you are avoiding being seen. You know, sometimes I kind of just want to give an example here. I don't know if you have ever felt this, but you consume someone's content online, but you just get this feeling that they are not there. They are not fully present. Like it's almost like you can feel like they've scheduled their stories, or they have like a VA that have scheduled their stories, or they just schedule all of their content, but they are not physically there. You can almost like feel a disconnect. They're saying all of the right things, but it just feels like a big disconnect. And instantly when I feel that, I don't engage because I just don't think there is a human behind there. I'm like, I know that this is your VA. I know that you've scheduled this. I know this is like your VA has probably just created like a Canva slide and then put it up online. And it doesn't feel quite right. So you have to stop hiding and fully lean in to be fully seen by the world. Now, that is the no-go zone. We're just gonna leave it there. I don't even have to like go even deeper here because I feel like it's really landing. I feel like you get the point. And I just want you to take notice as well. Whenever you see content and you're like, scrolling past that, yep, I don't like that. Or the things that you do resonate with. What is it about that video that makes you stop? What is it about that carousel that makes you engage? See if you can start to see a pattern here with the content that you are interacting with, because that's data. What emotions did that actually bring up for you? Why did you like it? Why did you engage with that? What did that actually make you feel? Go a little bit deeper there and actually learn to start to analyze your own thought patterns and your own behaviors when it comes to social media, because that is very, very telling. And perhaps there is a disconnect between the content you consume and the content that evokes an emotion within you and the content that you like, the content that captivates you. But maybe there is a disconnect because what you post versus what actually captivates you are two different things. I need to hold up a mirror here because you need to see that. And that is why your engagement is not as high, because you are not creating even what you like to engage with. You're playing it safe. So now I want to get into what you should be doing instead so you can absolutely kill it in 2026 and beyond. And I just want to start off by saying this. There is no coincidence that I have had my biggest quarter in business where we have brought in $500,000, $500,000 cash collected in a quarter. And I'm on track. I've had 3 back-to-back record months, and I'm on track to hit a 200K month. But what is really interesting about that is that I am posting the least amount than I've ever had about how I help my clients, how I can help you make a lot of money in your business. And let me tell you about this funnel. Let me tell you about messaging. I have completely stopped educating my audience online. Isn't that interesting? That I'm not showing up as a teacher, trying to teach you something and educate you. I'm not interested in that. I'm showing up online to make you feel something. I'm showing up online to hold your attention. And there is a reason why you keep coming back to my podcast and why you're here and why you are consuming my content online and engaging with my stories and commenting on my reels and coming back here and reading my emails and go, how can I work with you, Rebecca? You do something to me. The amount of times I hear, there is something about your content, you do something to me. So I kind of want to break it down and kind of share. And this is not groundbreaking, but I kind of want to break it up to you so you can kind of get an insight of how I think about my own content so you can actually go and implement the same. And I promise you, it's really fucking fun. I'm having so much fun with my content at the moment. And the response is like, oh, I love seeing this side to you. I'm feeling so connected to you. How can I work with you? Endless of demand. Incredible. In a way that I have not had before. And people are like, people are not buying the way they used to. They are buying more than ever. But buyers are far more sophisticated now than they were a few years ago. Just go with the evolution or you will fall behind. So let's debunk it. So when it comes to content, you have 3 levels. You have tofu, mofu, and bofu. And tofu is your top of funnel content, mofu is your middle of funnel, and bofu is your bottom of funnel content. Now, I'm not going to give you the full backstory here in terms of like the way I used to position my content. I'm just going to go straight into the most relevant and what I'm doing right now and how you can actually do the same. So your tofu content should all be about you, your expression, things that you are passionate about that could actually be completely irrelevant to your business. And all of the marketing experts will be like, no, Rebecca, that's not right. You only need to post things so you can damn it. No, that's not true. That I know for a fact that is not true. By you showing people what you are passionate about, what your values are, what you are interested in, showing your charisma, your personality, and your expression, and who you are as a human being, what do you think is going to happen? First and foremost, tofu content, top of funnel, is going to explode your reach. I have done over the past 6 months so many pieces of tofu content that has been completely irrelevant to my business. I have even, very strategically so, spoken Swedish in a few reels lately. And every single one of them has had phenomenal engagement because it's that top of funnel content. I have spoken about like something so unhinged about the food that I gag on. How I liked my eggs boiled, that I can't have a soft boiled eggs, and how I'm sensitive to food that tastes too much like the food that I'm eating. I have spoken about grief. I have spoken about family and traditions, concerts, music, the Backstreet Boys, me riding a Harley, having a motorbike license, diamonds, training, tanning, property investing, you name it. I have just brought fashion. I have just brought the essence of who I am through the screen. Not thinking about conversion, not thinking about this calculated thing. How can I convert someone to pay me? That is the byproduct of you truly building a connection with people. Let them see you. They don't see you at the moment. They think you're boring. Let them see you. Let them see your quirky little side. Let them see the thing that is like so fucking random about you, but that is going to be the catalyst for someone actually falling in love with you and wanting to work with you. I have this example of one of my clients, and she's amazing. I love her so much, and she's probably listening to this right now. she followed me for a couple of years and she was like, yeah, Rebecca's getting all of the results. Yep, watching. Yep, I see her. We've been working together for a year now. And 2 years prior to that, she watched me for 2 freaking years. She was like, yeah, I like her results, but I'm not resonating. I like her results. She's saying all of the right things, but I'm not feeling anything. Then I showed my audience that I went to my 5th Backstreet Boys concert by myself up in Brisbane. And I met with them backstage. We went out partying. I stayed out till 3 a.m, just like dancing with the Backstreet Boys. She then told me, and she bought one of my funnel courses. She came into my program. She came into my first program. She then qualified into my mastermind. She then became a private client. Like, she is amazing. Just like continue just to set the bar higher and higher and higher. She's like, I'm ready for my next level. And we are currently working privately. And then she told me a few months ago, she was like, do you want to know the reason, like why I started working with you? And I was like, oh, please tell me. She was like, it's a bit odd. And I was like, okay, tell me. She was like, I fell in love with you the moment I saw that you went to Backstreet Boys concert by yourself. She was like, boom, that's when I knew you were the one for me. And I was like, what? When I went to Backstreet Boys, you decided to work with me? She was like, yeah, because I felt genuinely connected to you. And I thought, whoever the person that goes to a concert by themselves and stay out all night partying with the actual Backstreet Boys, that's a fucking vibe. That's my kind of person. And then I knew I took everything that I knew that you could do for my business with the true essence of who you are and what I felt in that moment. Once I combined the two, I knew you were the mentor for me. Funny that. I've had another example of people saying, I want to work with you, Rebecca, because I see you love the Backstreet Boys. You ride a fucking Harley Davidson and you have a motorbike license. Then you play golf and then you love fashion and you're Swedish and you got 3 kids and you love diamonds and designer bags and you build property or you build wealth through property. Yeah. That is why some people invest in me, because I show them who I am. Beyond, here is how I can help you grow your business. Is this starting to land? Detach from conversion. So I want to give you full permission in your tofu content and just let that be you. The magic of who you are, your true essence, things you are passionate about. Bring the fun back in. Just no rules. No rules. And if you upload like a no rules, just like unhinged piece of content, can you just like send it to me so I can see it? Because I want to see you shine, and I'll come online and I'll comment on it and I'll send you some love, because it's so freeing. It's extremely freeing. And let me pave the way here, because I want to give you permission just to fully express yourself, not the filtered version, not the dimmed down version, not the perfectly cut and the fucking ChatGPT. No, you, my friend. There is so much magic about you, the way you show up and the way you express yourself, and your heart and your wisdom and your charisma, your expression, your sense of humor, the way you think, your laugh, the little twinkle in your eye when you speak about something that you are really passionate about. I want to see that. I want to see that. Deal? Got it. That is your tofu content. When it comes to your mofu content, which is your middle of funnel, your middle of funnel, this is how now we've gotten the attention with our tofu content, we've gotten all the attention from the world. They're like, yeah, eyes on you. We obviously want to show depth in our content as well. Because if we only did tofu content, it's like people just come for the vibes. But we don't want people just to come for the vibes. We want people to actually start working with us or buy our products or services. So we need to find the harmony between tofu and mofu. That will get the eyes, that will get the attention on you. And then we want to bring it deeper into your mofu content. So your mofu content here is where you get to show your thought leadership. Here is where you get to have deeper conversations around your thinking, why you are thinking that way, your bold opinions around certain topics. And again, it doesn't have to be just in relation to what you do and what you offer, what products or services you offer. It gets to be your thought leadership in broader conversations than your business. Something that most of you know is that I build wealth through property, and a way to show my thought leadership would be to perhaps share my investment strategy when it comes to property. It's completely irrelevant to help anyone grow their businesses, but it shows my way of thinking. It shows what I value, how I operate, how I lead myself, how I think, the depth I can hold, the experience that I have, the embodiment that I hold, the integrity I hold for myself and my clients. It shows a deeper perspective on you as a leader or as a founder. Now you have this beautiful harmony between tofu content, all eyes on you, and if I'm looking at my own analytics here, often I would say at least 40%, like 40 to 50%, are people that are not following me every single time I create a tofu style content. And when I create more mofu style, what you'll find is that probably 80%, 85 even, are my existing followers, because that is not viral type content. That is more for depth. So you may not get the reach, but you get the depth. So when you have the top of funnel, you get the engagement and you learn to hold that attention, and then you create the depth. Now you are starting to build a connection. Now you create this beautiful polarity of just excitement, feeling, expression, humor, charisma, magnetism, showing who you are, your personality, your expression, your heart, your soul. And then you get to show that with the depth of your way of thinking, your positioning, your thought leadership, your experience, your wisdom. Can you see the beautiful harmony in that? Now you are starting to become very, very loud in someone's mind. Just like you listening to this right now. You're like, I feel something. I feel the passion, the expression, but I also feel the depth. I hear a different perspective. I feel seen. I feel validated. I feel expanded. I feel held to a higher standard. That, my friends, is how you take up a piece of real estate in someone's mind. And lastly, when it comes to your Bofu style content, I often say you shouldn't have to use a call to action. If your marketing is good enough, people will reach out anyway. And back in the day, I would say that there was probably like a 10% out of your tofu and mofu and bofu content, probably 10% would be a Bofu style content. A Bofu style is like your bottom of funnel, which is like your low-hanging fruit where you are more optimizing your content for conversion. What you'll see, the pattern that you will see here every single time, and I'm going to explain, but I don't post any Bofu content on my feed anymore because there is no space for it. But when I used to, the 10% I used to, the engagement was naturally lower because I'm using a direct call to action. I'm making it very clear I have this offer and I want to invite you into this space. So reach is lower, engagement is lower. You may get a few low-hanging fruits, as in some hot leads, but that will be about it. If you overuse it, and people that use Bofu a lot in their feed, their engagement will be close to none, because people just feel like they jump on and they are just being sold to, and then all of them will just unfollow you. Now, I would say I post no Bofu content on my feed. The Bofu content belongs occasionally on your stories, because stories is like your living room. And that is where I want to feel, or I want my audience to feel I'm present. People think that I just put up an outfit pic every single day. So if you follow me on Instagram, if you don't, make sure you go to Rebecca_80hill. Almost every single day, I upload an outfit, like a mirror selfie of my outfit. I don't do that for the sake of just doing that. I'm doing that so people can feel my presence. So people can actually feel that I'm there. Not some scheduled post, not a Canva makeup of something. Right there, every single day. A new day, a new outfit, a new mirror selfie. And this is kind of the living room, because you have the attention from your audience. They are now coming in to engage with you. And this is an opportunity by you going deeper in evoking that emotion within them. Showing your own results, showing your own leadership, your own momentum, the demand that you have in your business. Because you get to use the law of assumption in your content, is that by you have, and this is what I'm thinking every single time, by using the law of assumption, I make the assumption that every single one of you listening to this podcast, you are sitting on the edge of your seat ready to work with me. Every single person that interacts with my stories or even watches my stories, I use the assumption that they are sitting right on the edge of the seat. Boom, they are ready to pay me. They want to work with me. Every single day. Imagine if you created every story, every post, every carousel, every email using the law of assumption. The law of assumption that every single one of your followers are sitting right on the edge waiting to pay you. And your next story and your next piece of content will determine whether they are going to reach out or not. Yeah. Now, my friends, you are going to start to rethink how you are showing up online. Whether it's strategic or looks like it's intentional or not, it's always intentional. And because I know, and here is something that I want you to think, and I'm going to leave you with this. Creating content is so much more than words on a screen or a pretty video or a photo. I often use the analogy of dancing and being a performer. There are so many common traits between business and marketing and content with performing and dancing. And I explained this to my ballet teacher when I went back to Sweden last summer, or last July, Swedish summer, and I had lunch with my ballet teacher from many, many years ago. And I explained to her how much I've drawn on what she taught me in ballet and what I learned by having danced my entire life, is that when you dance, you need to learn to express yourself without saying a single word. You need to learn to tell a story without being able to say anything. But you can tell a story through movement, through eye contact, facial expression, through light, music, sound. That tells a story without saying a single word. So if I were to tell you that every single song choice I choose for my stories, I listen to the frequency and the beat of the sound. And I sit with the beat and I tune into thinking, what is the feeling I'm getting? Boom, 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 boom. What feeling is that giving me? Or not the one, okay, this one. What feelings and what emotions do I want to evoke within my audience? Boom, I pick that song. And not only that, I also make sure when people consume my content that it's easy on the eye to consume my content. I'm mindful of what fonts I'm using. I'm mindful of text placement. I'm mindful so when my audience consume my content, it feels nice on the eye. It sounds good. I'm making it as effortless and easy as possible for my audience to consume my content. Because you know this, if you hear someone and they just jump on stories and then they start talking, but they don't have captions on and they don't have an explanation, what do? Gone. You swipe past it. Why is that? Because it's too much. Too long, too slow. It couldn't hold your attention span. That is something you need to consider in your stories to be able to hold that attention so that they tap through on all of your stories. So by wrapping all of this up, there is no coincidence that I have had a $500,000 quarter in cash collected, and I'm on track of having another record month, which will be a multi-six-figure month in cash collected. And I am speaking less about business and 3 steps to this outcome, and instead showing more of the true essence of who I am. Social media is not dead, but soulless content is. So all I want you to do now is to go and show the world who you truly are. Let them see the bigness of you. Let them feel every single part of your soul, the bigness of your vision, your confidence, your certainty, your charisma, your expression, your humor. Those little quirky things that you do that I know that you have, let them see you. Let the world see you. It is safe for the world to see you, because as soon as you let yourself be fully seen, people are going to fall in love with you and meet you where you are at. Imagine how good it would feel like to be fully accepted and loved when you show up as the most powerful, expansive, confident, certain person that I know that you are. I really hope that today's episode has resonated with you. I cannot wait to be back here behind the mic next week for another episode. Thanks again for tuning in. I appreciate you so much. And I will see you back here next week for another show.